most complete fighter in the world.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate on me.
Dodge this.
Welcome to episode... It's 10. We made it to 10. People said we couldn't. And those people were in my dreams. It's Dodge This, the action movie podcast, brackets, probably your favourite one. My name is Simon Fielder, historically located in wonderful Amsterdam, but for one night only, recording in a hotel room in the Swiss, I want to say Alps, but I don't know enough about mountains to know if that is true. I'm sitting in front of a window and I can see a mountain. I'm not showing off. If anything, I'm saying my commitment to this podcast is arguably unnecessary based on the listenership. Joining me, as ever, from his usual locale of London.
Amsterdam. By way
Amsterdam,
of
Eurostar to London. It's Matthew Highton.
Hi, Simon. Also, amazing views today. Saw a woman having an argument on a phone, and there's a big pigeon just sitting on a lamppost. So
I mean,
it's the same.
It's hard to compete with that.
Yeah.
All I can see is trees and snow.
Sounds awful. This pigeon's big. This is a bigger than normal pigeon. So
I'm in a town called Arosa. For you don't need to know why. I'm working ostensibly, but this town apparently has bears in it.
Oh,
I've not seen one. They don't like roam the streets, thankfully. But
don't eat the bear meat.
Is that what they say?
Joss Norris, a friend of the show, has a very good story about when he went somewhere similar and he tried to save up his per diems so he could buy this weird troll mask, and he ate bear meat, and then he found out a lot of bears carry a parasite that can send you mad. So,
wow. That sounds like a classic Joss Norris story. Incredible scenes.
If that was appropriate for our podcast entirely, let's just say he fought and killed that bear.
Yeah, that's much better. He's basically Liam Neeson in The Grey.
Or any character fighting Kuma or Panda in Tekken.
Oh, yeah. Okay, nice. Yeah, why is a bear allowed in that tournament? Anyway, we haven't got time to get into that because it's episode 10 and the sort of confluence of circumstances.
Confluence?
I was searching around for a word and it wasn't the one I wanted, but I did quite enjoy it. I am in this hotel room in Switzerland for over a week and it is trodden right on two big action releases, Michael Bay's Ambulance and the Indian mega action entertainer RRR, which I would love to see both of them and feature them on this episode. Sadly, in the small Swiss town of Arosa, there is not a cinema, let alone a cinema that shows Indian action entertainers. So we will have to hopefully circle back around to those in the future. However, thankfully, the streaming service Hayar has absolutely delivered so that in my hotel room and the comfort of Matthew's South London home, we've been able to watch Kung Fu Stuntmen Never Say No. So it's a bit of it's a minor departure in that it's a documentary, but it could not be more relevant to our sort of viewing history and the kind of movies that we watch on this pod. So I'm very excited to talk about that.
It was great. I'm going straight in there. It was great. And I can't wait to talk about it.
Cards are on the table. Loved it.
Yeah.
Before we do that, though, we've got to have a little chat about what's going on in the outside world. And I feel like I've already touched upon it with the bears and the snow. But I mean, in the world of media and stuff, what maybe you've seen on your big telly, because we're of that age where we prefer to watch things on big tellies than on our laptops in bed.
Oh, well, I was trying to get out to see Sonic 2 later today, so I am quite excited about that.
Wow. Okay.
So hopefully next time we do a pod, I can tell you all about Sonic 2. It's got Sonic 1. Sonic 1 was great. So
was it?
I loved it. It wasn't great.
Fair play. It's got Jim Carrey in it, though. It's a wild card.
Jim Carrey says Sonic 2 might be his last film, and I think what a legacy to leave.
That is a swan song. God.
Yeah. I think they'll get him back for Sonic 3. So I had a little bit of downtime this week. I won't go into everything I've watched. I watched the first Moon Knight, which, as you
Yes, so
know,
did I.
Great. What may be the best Marvel TV show so far. We'll see how it goes.
But that's based on episode 1. You're going to go out on that limb.
Yeah, I do classify WandaVision as a separate entity because it's so different to, I think, a lot of the other Marvel, which I like.
Interesting.
But yeah, Moon Knight, very good.
I enjoyed it, actually. I enjoyed it. And it felt all the way through.
Wait, you enjoyed it?
I did enjoy it, yeah. I'm allowed to enjoy sci-fi action.
I know.
Right? I do like Marvel things.
I've been telling you this not only for the last 10 episodes, but also for the last 10 years, possibly. So,
I mean, I think the thing is with the Marvel TV shows is that they all are enjoyable at the beginning because you're like, oh, okay, a new world, new things. And then it's whether they can capture my interest for the duration of the series is the real test.
Egyptian mythology is going to hold you in there. That is.
I hope so. It's like The Mummy. I've forgotten that world. Didn't watch the Tom Cruise one because everyone said it was shit. So I'm like, all right. And Oscar Isaac's doing a quite respectable British accent.
He really sounds like Spencer Jones, I think.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, he's doing an impression of, now I can't remember the guy's name. He's in I Give It a Year and forget it. Just, I'm going to have to live IMDb it. Quick, Matt, do a fill.
What I like about Oscar Isaac's accent is I really think he does it well. But what always
Rafe
gives
Spall.
There you go, Rafe Spall. Sounds like someone who gives you a side quest in a game.
You'll recognise him. He's very sort of cheeky. He's got that very
I think I know exactly
British
what
vibe.
you mean. Yeah.
And it feels like Oscar Isaac is doing a pitch perfect impression of him. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, maybe Rafe Spall could have played this character.
The thing is, with any person doing an accent that isn't native to themselves, they always slip up with little colloquialisms, like that are too English, for example. Like, he says later gator a lot, and it suits him really well, but the way
no one says it in real life.
Well, they do, but it's just later gator. I like it, but it just gives him away slightly. But I think
how we're ending this podcast now, don't you?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
But I think I went back to a classic 90s action film this week.
What'd you watch?
It was the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film.
Whoa.
Yeah, I went back, saw it on Apple TV. It was something like $2.50 to rent. I thought, I've not watched that since I was a child. Let's see. Some things to say about this film. It's still really enjoyable. Still really enjoyable, yeah. Didn't realise until I rewatched it for the first time with my adult eyes. Sam Rockwell's in it.
Whoa, how old is Sam Rockwell?
He's very young. He is the guy who, when
is he a little punk?
Yeah, the kids go to the Foot Clan. He is the guy who I've seen the meme and I didn't realise. He goes, you got any cigarettes? He goes, regular or mental? And he's that guy, and he's got a recurring cameo.
Wow.
For a light-hearted film, there's some really dark bits in it.
Okay.
Really want to comment that they do some great martial arts, given the awful suits they've got to do little kits in.
I mean, yeah.
Very good.
I remember really enjoying it when I saw it as definitely a child. It's possibly a person in my 20s. I don't know when it came out.
You would definitely. I think it was 1990. It's about that time.
Okay, I was in my early teens, probably.
Oh my goodness, were you?
Yeah.
Oh wow. But yeah, it was really fun, But yeah, there's a bit at the end. Spoiler alert. Casey Jones really casually kills Shredder. Shredder falls into a dump truck, and Casey Jones just rocks up beside it. And to be fair, it could be an accident because he does say, whoops, and he pulls the handle and crushes him to death. And I think
nice.
That is quite a bold move on Casey's behalf. But yeah.
I mean, that is also the stark difference, I guess, pun intended, between comic book franchises of that era and now, in that they killed the main villain. Because Shredder ain't coming back in a multiverse, right?
Shredder comes back in
Secret of the Ooze.
Secret of the Ooze, actually. No one
how
knows
did he survive it?
I think they do something like how he gets out, and he's not really injured. Maybe that is the real secret of the use. We don't
He
have
just
time
gets
to
off
go
and
into
dusts
the
it off.
TM.
I suppose
NT.
not enough
franchise.
villains. He's too good a villain. You can't kill him.
It doesn't get much screen time in that one as well. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It gets enough, but yeah.
I also watched The Contractor. The Contractor. He's not a man who shrinks. It's The Contractor. I think we watched the trailer last episode or the one before, featuring Chris Pine and Ben, who you like. Ben, who you like.
Ben, who I like.
The actor Ben, who you like.
Come on, reach for it. You're nearly there.
No, I'm going to let you live IMDb it while I fill this time.
Yeah,
we did this last time. We circled back around. You'll recognise him immediately. He's very good. Yes.
Ben Foster, of course. Yeah, the Ben who I like.
Ben Foster. Brackets who you like, Foster.
Yeah. Now I remember.
This is a solid action thriller. It's a real throwback to that sort of late 90s, early 2000s. Probably based on a Grisham or one of those types of books. Actually, Grisham's very courtroomy. That's a bad example. But it's like a, Bravo 2-0. I don't know. I'm pulling shit out of my arse now. It's some guys who used to be in the army who've been recruited by a guy, it's Kiefer Sutherland, to do a mission. Or it all goes tits up. But it's very enjoyable. It's basically just sort of Pine creeping around, being a tough guy and getting all injured, shooting some people, doing some Delta Force, Navy SEALs, whatever type stuff. Solid.
But you said
enjoyed.
It wasn't that actiony. So
not action packed. No, it's very much in that sort of thriller vibe of that era. But then there's some people shooting guns at each other and he's beat some people up. But yeah, and I suspect the longer we do this podcast, the more the waters will be muddied as to what I, the dictator of the podcast, define as an action movie. But I would say this is an action thriller.
I can't wait till you open it up to the classics. That's what I'm excited about. When you let us do classics.
I know. Yeah. When we run out of modern releases, this would have been the week. I couldn't get to a cinema. Thankfully, Hi-R delivered. But I enjoyed the contractor. I'm going to call it the contractor.
The contractor.
He's very big, and then he can make himself very small. It was all right.
Okay.
Yeah. You got anything else to wrap that bit up?
No. I think we don't want to go into everything we've watched. Also, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, which is action.
Oh my goodness!
Actually, yeah.
I haven't watched Moon Knight episode 2 yet, but I'm looking forward to it. In that case, we've also got a feature pack trailers roster, so let's get into some trailers, please. Okay, let's just work through these in order because I feel like they build up to the undeniable climax. Let's start with a Thai movie who I don't know what the English title is, and I'm almost certainly going to butcher it because I don't know how you pronounce things in Thai, but it's like Tan Soi. It's a prequel to the movie FURIE, which I believe I have seen, and it's directed by, I think, the star of that movie. FURIE was a sort of, my daughter's been kidnapped and I am a very strong mother and I'm going to kick everyone's arse around the place and I'm going to ride a bike. And there's a lot of that sort of blue and pink neon tinge to stuff, which seems to be very much replicated in this prequel where I guess a younger star has a similar quandary and kicks a lot of arse.
Now, I don't think I've seen FURIE, but I heard it was very good. I heard it was critically did great.
Yeah, it was sort of, it was on Netflix there for a while.
Yeah, I think I missed
it. I guess it's gone now, yeah, unfortunately, but it is worth seeking out.
It was low budget, I think.
Yeah, pretty low budget out of Thailand. And it kind of came in like a wave of like, oh, nice, surprising action movies from different places.
By Thailand, you mean Vietnam?
Do I mean Vietnam?
According to
I'm
this.
so sorry. No.
Unless it's
as I said Thailand, I was like, oh no, is it Vietnam?
According to this, yeah, it was only 1 million. So yeah.
$1 million US dollars.
US dollars, yeah.
I'm so sorry I said Thailand so many times, right. But yes. That's why it was exciting, because it was a new wave of movies coming out of Vietnam, another of which pops up in the trailers this week. You should check out Fury. But this trailer looks pretty solid. There's a fight on motorbikes. There's swords. There's knives. There's just a general lot of ass kicking and that sort of neon sheen.
Yeah, that sort of post John Wick resurgence of my favorite pink blue combo colors, which
it's the like YouTuber background lights, isn't it?
It's the Akira aesthetic without the red.
Yes,
that's what it is.
Yes,
the old Blade Runner look.
Yeah, very into that sort of neon futuristics.
Oh, that is what my soul looks like. Neon pink on black.
You love to see it. This one seems like a definite watch when it comes out. Let's crack through these, because the next one was a real surprise. Eraser Reborn.
Yeah, where's this come out of?
Oh, Matty's got a few things to say about this. We're revisiting an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from. I'm going to take. I
can't remember if it's late 90s or early 2000s. It's on the end of what we often talk about as the
golden age of Arnie.
Of Arnie. Yeah, I think it's one of his last good films. It's not one of his best films, but he's still kicking ass, and it has one of the best one-liners.
I remember seeing it in the cinema and enjoying it.
Well, this is what I loved about this trailer. At first, I was like, "Is this a sequel to Eraser?" And
is this the Eraser from 20 years ago?
Yeah, and then I was like, "Oh, it is a sequel to Eraser."
Who is this aimed at?
Then they've done that thing, which we'll talk about this in one of the other trailers as well. But they've done one of that thing already in the thing where they took something they clearly like, but instead of just taking the premise of it or the bones of it, they've clearly tried to recreate stuff from it in a new way. Like, there's a bit in Eraser where one of Arnie's best worst one-liners kills a crocodile, and he goes, "Oh, is it an alligator? I can't remember." Either way, he goes, "Your luggage." It's great.
He does do that. He does.
This trailer, crocodile alligator pops up. And just like...
I think it was a hippo.
Oh, shit, was it? I was watching it on my phone.
I think it was a hippo.
Oh my God, I take everything back. I'd
forgotten the original Your Luggage, so I was like, why is there a hippo in this movie?
You know what?
Now it makes sense.
I was a bit annoyed that they'd done that. Now I know it's a hippo. I'm so in. Hippos, absolute deadly.
Next level.
How are they going to...
They are... Woof.
Also,
don't mess with a hippo.
Pink milk. Just putting that out there.
I'm sorry, what? They have...
Apparently they have pink milk.
Hippos do pink milk?
Yeah.
People say, you can't learn anything from podcasts. No one's ever said that. They're very educational. I say you can't learn anything from this podcast. Again, untrue. So much good deep dive information. People say you don't learn enough about dangerous creatures of the Serengeti. Do hippos live there?
Again, Simon, if you're not sure, just keep it inside.
I know, it's tough, isn't it? I've already made quite a big boo-boo there. I'm still trying to live down the Thailand snafu. Who is Dominic Sherwood? He is an English actor, but I do not know him. But yet his name
I don't know him,
is above this. It looks like it's a textbook sort of DTV, Warner Brothers, low budget action. Let's churn it out. But it looks like it could go, like so many of these, could go either way. It's one where I think I'll see what the general pulse of reaction is upon release. But the one thing it didn't have, which is actually arguably the only thing I remember from Eraser, is like the railgun. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, yeah. No Arnie cameo, but the railgun.
The railgun might be in there. The railgun is the most exciting thing about Eraser.
Because it looked so cool. I bet if we look at it now, it doesn't. But I remember it looking amazing.
Quake 2 had popularised it in computer gaming, so I was quite excited about that. Oh, very good.
Fingers crossed for the railgun back. There was a bit where he was shooting a gun and there was kind of like trails on the bullets.
I can't think of any other gun that could take down a hippo, actually.
It's got to be a railgun versus hippo fight. Oh my God, I'm so in on this movie.
I know I don't condone killing hippos, but you have to use a sci-fi
railgun. Yeah. Use a railgun, mate. Speaking of throwbacks to a really long time ago, or sequels to a movie from a really long time ago, a new trailer has emerged for Top Gun Maverick. The massively delayed... This was meant to come out a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah,
now it's creeping ever closer.
A few things going on in the world, actually, that's delayed a few films.
What happened? Is there
Yes, a couple of stuff.
I didn't hear.
No. Brexit.
Anyway, Brexit delayed Top Gun.
Yeah.
They couldn't get the parts for the Spitfires that they needed.
Yeah, all these bloody crypto miners, isn't it? We couldn't get the chips.
I'm sort of interested in Top Gun, but I said it before. I still don't know what it is about. Who are the baddies? Who are they fighting?
About this film, Simon.
I like that he comes back on a bike to be the teacher. That's a great way to revitalize the franchise 20 years later. But back then, it was like Cold War era, right? They were like fighting Russians.
They're probably kicking themselves now. They could have. That is
could have delayed it.
That's horrible.
Very
I'll take that
insensitive,
back. I retract
actually.
that. I retract
Thank you.
that.
I don't know who they're going to have dogfights against, but the footage looks incredible. And yesterday, I only just found this out. In Mission Impossible Fallout, in the helicopter chase, Tom Cruise is flying the helicopter.
For real?
Tom Cruise flies helicopters and just was like, yeah, I'll just fly the helicopter, mate. There's no one else in the helicopter when he's flying it.
That's amazing. Imagine the insurance.
Absolutely mind-blowing. I don't know how he does it. I don't know if he flies MiG jets or whatever they use in this, but I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, he's a lunatic, but my God, when he puts his mind to something.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to have a successful career with that attitude, actually.
You think he's going to be all right?
I think he's going to do all right. I'm really excited about this film. I just don't know how this film fits in a modern political climate. Like, even in the 80s, like you say, when it's height of Cold War, it's a complete propaganda film, which is great. I love Top Gun so much. I'm not going to badmouth Top Gun. It's bloody the cheesiest, most amazing action film of the 80s.
I hope there's volleyball in the sequel.
Well, this is again what I was talking about earlier. The trailer already looks like, right, we've got to hit the beats of the first one. Like, and this new trailer, if you're avoiding spoilers for Top Gun Maverick, they're coming now. They've put in the Iceman link with Val Kilmer's been revealed in this thing, whether he's in it or not, or if it's just a photograph. But I like that he's an admiral. I like that they've let the world move on, all except Maverick. But also, when the original trailer aired, I was like, oh, that kid, he's got a mustache to look like Goose. Turns out it's Goose's son, which makes perfect sense because Goose's kid is in the original one, plays the piano and all that. So I do like.
Oh, I didn't remember that. I was like, oh, they've given him Anthony Edwards' silly moustache.
Yeah, he alludes to it being his father, which I think is great for like story and stuff. I think if you're going to bring it back, now is the time. I think this will serve it better than if they'd done a Top Gun sequel 2 years later. But again, you just worry that is it going to be able to stand on its own? Is it going to live up to the hype? It's going to look amazing. That's
the aerial photography looks incredible.
Yeah,
and it does. I suppose we're far enough away now that it has almost like when Bond came back, and it was like a bit more aware of like he is that the sexual dinosaur, whatever he's like something from the old fashioned times trying to exist in a modern era, and I think it'd be interesting if they address that with like Maverick not really fitting into the modern world.
That's the exact model that I've been pitching a Johnny Bravo comeback for. So
amazing.
Imagine Johnny Bravo now. It just won't work.
Duke Nukem.
That'll happen soon, I reckon.
Same sort of vibe, right?
Yeah.
He's probably not appropriate, but it might be funny to put him in a modern spin.
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay, we're still the trailers. The trailers just do keep on giving this month. 2 more. 578 Magnum. This one is Vietnamese.
This one looks great. I've already completely forgotten everything about it.
It's your standard. My daughter's been kidnapped. Yeah. I am a trained killer. I will use my training, my special set of skills.
Yeah,
to murder everyone.
I never thought within just 10 weeks of watching all the action trailers that I knew this story was done so many times, but it now feels like if we don't have one every week, who's kidnapping the daughters?
Well, I know, right?
How the killer's going to come out of retirement? Yeah,
They're all based on Shakespeare, right? Remember that the Shakespeare where the daughter's kidnapped and then he has to go and rescue her and kill everyone.
Here's a film.
Is that one?
A help group for retired servicemen or action stars who have been through the trauma of having a daughter kidnapped. There's a film. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. It's like the Expendables with a twist.
Get all those guys in a room.
I'm in.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, Neeson probably has to run it for he's the go-to of late people.
Yeah,
but then you're thinking about
John Matrix would be in there.
Matrix is the original, isn't he?
Yeah, he'd be in there.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Perfect. Yeah.
578 Magnum, just to bring it back though, it looks like it's going to check all the boxes, right? It's got all the things that make me go, oh yeah, this is fine. There's a guy who's like, he's very well trained. He's going to get them all. There's a shot of a lake with his head he pops out of the lake. I'm ready. There's a fight in a container yard. They've got it all. I hope it's good.
It looks like I like this. They're not giving away too much of the film, so I'm hoping it just goes balls to the wall, action. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm ready for it. I'll tell you what else I'm ready for.
Who's not ready for this one?
Indian action entertainers starring Tiger Shroff's abs.
Oh my God.
Holy, I don't even know where to start with. It's called Hero Panty 2. I haven't seen Hero Panty 1, and as I say it out loud, I'm trying not to snigger. But, where to start with this trailer, Matthew?
In 2 minutes, I feel like I've lived a lifetime. It is unbelievably paced, even for that. And again, in just that trailer, the intuitive ways they put an action sequence together that is designed just to reveal Tiger Shroff's body is entirely mind-blowing.
Yeah, I have no idea what any of the sequences are about or what the motivation of anyone in them is, but my God, it looks incredible. That boy can move, and his abs will not stop.
Also, just going back to Moon Knight accents, I did not expect to hear suddenly a British accent going, take your pants down, take your pants down.
Yes.
Great.
Those are the roles that I want to travel the world. I mean, I really do want to do it in Hong
you
Kong
want to travel
cinema. That's the dream.
The world
to be the guy
in Switzerland.
I want to travel the world. Oh no, I'm in Switzerland. Yes, sadly, zero roles in local action movies for me here currently. I'm not here filming a Swiss action movie. God, I wish I was. But having watched so many Hong Kong action movies over the years, I just want to be that one guy who plays the American GI or the British officer. They're always an unpleasant character or a bad guy, but they're always, no offense to all the people who've played these, they're not great. The acting is never great, and far be it for me to say my acting is great. But I think I'd really give it a good old swing.
Really?
Give it a good old British try. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you'd be too pleasant.
Yeah, no, you may be right.
Maybe that's what made you sinister. Yeah.
I'd be a little bit creepy.
You could be like Dr. Apology. You apologise during murders. But you got a doctorate, so that's quite impressive.
Fair play. I put in the 7 years of murder school to get there. Let's wrap up Hero Panty 2. It's got a villain that seems to be a cartoon.
Oh, yeah. But absolutely already think they're going to be horrible. They're going to be a rotten little
he stabs
monster.
someone up while laughing in the trailer.
That's never a good sign of a balanced person, to be honest.
No, you hate to see it, but in a villain, I've got time for that. And then Tiger Shroff basically diving over stuff, doing parkour, just
pretty much swinging
around
around a flying car. That is
standard before a pile of really expensive cars.
It looks incredible.
Mounts up in a kind of neon lit car park. Before we even mention the fact that it's billed as a musical.
Yeah, I already think I'm going to have to take some paracetamol before watching that. It looks like it's going to be so action heavy. It's going to give me a nosebleed. I've
got to wear those glasses that you use for driving at night because it's so there's so much color and neon and stuff happening. It just looks incredible. I can't wait.
I want to hear more about these glasses, but we'll do that off podcast.
Yeah, you got the the tinted night driving glasses. You got your leather driving gloves, of course.
Oh no,
they're from the Alan Partridge set. Yeah, I I don't know when this comes out. I think it's fairly soon, judging by the fact that they've got the majority of the movie in the trailer. I hope I can see it on a big screen. And I hope RRR is still on a big screen in Amsterdam when I get back so that I can see that, because I'm very excited about it.
Well, if not, we'll do it for the DTV release.
We'll have to do that, yes. All right, Matthew, I think it is time for us to grab our popcorn.
Yeah,
You want a bit of popcorn?
I get a bit.
I'm just going same every time. M&M's, the 3 flavors in one bag.
Oh, nice.
Had the brownie ones recently. They're surprisingly good. Not sponsored. Although if anyone does work for M&M's, please get in touch. Let's look at our feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
Were you singing the jingle there?
Yeah.
I thought I heard you sing the jingle.
And then I
a
stopped
little bit.
myself because I was like, don't make noise.
This episode, our feature presentation, is the documentary. I thought this was about action movies, this podcast. The documentary Kung Fu Stuntmen Never Say No, which is currently streaming.
Docu-action.
Docu-action. Yeah. Okay. Currently streaming on Hi-R. And has been released by Wellgo. So wherever you are in the world, those things might help you find it. Hi-R is $3.99 a month and has lots of great Asian action films, plus this documentary. You already said you loved it.
Yeah.
So I think we know where you're coming in on this. And I think I'm going to surprise you with this, Matthew. I also loved it.
Oh, I thought you might.
So close.
It
was so close.
Entirely your wheelhouse of love, though, isn't it? Because you love.
Oh my God.
You love Hong Kong cinema, especially obviously Hong Kong action cinema, and you love nerding out about that even before. That's the main reason you wanted to do this podcast. So I can only imagine. I love this watching this, but I can only imagine what this gave you.
This should have been episode 1 of the podcast in a way, but.
Yeah.
The fact that Raging Fire was episode 1, and that was a kind of throwback to the era that this talks about in this documentary, I think it was perfect. But yeah, it's just so lovely to kind of see all the stuntmen from the, I guess, 60s through 80s, 90s is kind of where it focuses. That golden era of Shaw Brothers, Golden Harvest movies from Bruce Lee, Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, Yun Biao, like all those opera school trained guys who just came out like incredible athletes, acrobatics, trained in Kung Fu, and would just put their lives literally on the line to make incredible cinema.
But I mean, you've already said a few things that I really want to talk about. I always knew there was a history of dance in Kung Fu as a way, like Bruce Lee did. Was it ballet Bruce Lee did? Or was it, no, ballroom.
Like cha-cha.
Ballroom.
Yeah.
Did ballroom, didn't he? And that was his sort of into martial arts. But I didn't know there was this whole thing about coming from opera schools. I had no idea about this. So for anyone listening, who's just a quick background. But yeah, a lot of the first wave martial artists in film and certainly in the stunt teams, they came from poor backgrounds. They all went to these opera schools where they would train in sort of theatrical dance fighting.
And when we talk about an opera school, it's not, sort of the Italian Pavarotti style. This is like Chinese opera, which is its own very unique genre of like music, dance, movement, storytelling, which involves a lot of like acrobatics and sort of kung fu fighting on stage and weapons and stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible. It was incredible. It was there's so much in this. It's very quick as well. It's 90 minutes, but there's so much like they've had to breeze through on this, and it's really nice because one of the things they talk about, and I think is a good place for us to start with, opposed to what they lead to. But Hong Kong cinema did hit a massive decline in the early noughties, a combination of capitalism and just the industry moving and stuff. But like you said, these guys, specifically the ones, there's about, I'd say, 8 to 10 guys that are recurring through this who, like you say, were there from, we're just taking some cameras and we're figuring this out. They state that genre didn't really exist, which has become like probably Hong Kong and China's biggest export before sort of, the latest wave of sort of international movie making. Like, they really sort of hammered this whole scene out and evolved it. And what's interesting to watch about this is seeing, like, you can kind of get a sense for how things evolve through the scene from how the films change watching it as a person. Certainly as someone watching it in the West as well. I discovered all this in the 90s, which is probably to do with age, but for me, Hong Kong cinema feels like a very 90s thing, but I think that's just because we get the VHS exports then, but obviously their big wave is in the 80s. It's just interesting to see how certain individuals come along and change it. Certainly Bruce Lee. Like, when they're talking about Bruce Lee and what he did for the whole scene and how he came in from removing it from that sort of trained dance sort of focus choreography to, if I hit you in the stomach, how are you going to keel over when I hit you in the stomach? And they start focusing on what the impact of a blow is, or how close can I get to killing you,
right?
Killing you and stuff like that.
Like, the acting is reacting, but like stunt acting is like absolutely about reacting, about, taking that hit and making it look painful when, hopefully nowadays it's not that painful, but definitely in these days, probably not that much acting involved in falling off that 2-story building onto some sand.
But Sammo Hung, he says that, doesn't he? He's like, a delay is completely, you lose your job. Like, you can't think about what you do. It has to look in the moment real. What's beautiful about this, and what's beautiful about this era, is all these guys, they've literally, blow for blow, learnt all this through trial and error. Like, those early pictures of Jackie Chan, and everyone knows, like, Jackie Chan is in, now I say it's Enter the Dragon, is it? He's in? He's got a cameo in that.
Oh yeah, possibly, I think. And Sammo is in Enter the Dragon, and Jackie Chan is like a stuntman in something else, I think.
But I mean, late Bruce Lee, you realise that they've all come up through this, even like the big stars. So like, when you get people like Donnie Yen talking about it, they've got such respect for these guys who essentially have had like a very hard living. Like, I love when they talk about these guys, they've got these well-paid jobs that they never thought they'd have, so they just spend their money straight away.
Yeah,
like,
I know. It's such a sad story at times, isn't it? It's like the sort of child actor syndrome, where it's just like, I got all this money, and then you're like, and now I'm 18 and I don't have any money.
There will be no rainy days, Marge.
That's it, yeah. And with the stuntmen, it's like, you're in your 20s to 30s, or even, younger, I guess. They start in their teens, but then none of them saved the money, and then they're in their 40s, and you're like, actually, my body doesn't really want to be thrown around quite as much. It's like,
This is again, like, something that I always loved about Jackie Chan, certainly his Western films, how they put all the stunts on the end that went wrong. Like, quote unquote bloopers. Here's Jackie snapping his leg.
Yeah. That started in his Hong Kong stuff, like and they show the classics from, Police Story, like the stuntmen flying out the front windows of that bus.
Man.
And they were meant to land on that car. Like, I feel like this is like a really well-known story. They were meant to land on a car, which obviously would, soften the blow. Landing on a car cushions your fall. They just land on concrete.
Yeah. Well, this is the other side of it. This is like, I always knew stunts were practical, but I had always assumed, certainly in the late 80s onwards, I always assumed wire work started to become a big thing. But seeing these guys, until they hit sort of that mid-90s thing, going like, no padding, no wires, like as if it's a cheat. Like, that story, there's a story in it about one of the stunt guys who throws himself onto an ice rink.
Yeah.
And I was watching it with, behind...
I know.
Hand over mouth, with horror, with just abject
I wish there
horror.
had been like an actual behind the scenes shot of that, because the only shot that they have is a shot from the movie where it's like three,
you can only do that once, sure,
but it cuts from him, flying from like the 7th floor, which, I mean, he definitely didn't leap off the 7th floor onto the ice rink, but it looks like he fell.
The 7th floor was the construction site. That was a different jump.
Yeah,
this is 3 stories.
He's definitely fallen quite a long way onto an ice rink.
A house
it's difficult to pad ice, isn't it?
Well, that's what they're saying. There's no padding. You're falling onto ice, and the director wants him to not just jump out, to fall on his back. And he's just gone, well, I'm going to do it. Like that never say no sort of attitude. It's just like, oh man, how can you survive this?
Everyone that is in the documentary seems kind of okay. Who really knows? Like,
there seems
what's
to
going
be...
on? But the fact that they made it, and don't get me wrong, lots of, as they say in the documentary, a lot of people did get like genuinely probably injured, and some people did die, which is just terrifying. But also unsurprising when you see the absolute like lunacy that they got up to in those years.
Yeah, that story about when they scout location, they're praying they don't look up. It's just because they're like, if there's something they can throw us off, they'll throw us off.
Yes.
It's just like, it's madness. But yeah, that
and the sort of exacting standards as well. Like as Sammo started coming up the ranks and becoming the action director, but because he's from the background and he's so well trained, they would be, you know, if someone said to Sammo like, I won't do it, then Sammo would just demonstrate it. Like, well, I'll do it, and I'm, you know, the fat guy from all those movies, so I don't know what you think you're doing. And there's so much kind of honor in it as well, you know, like that.
Yeah.
Those, we talk about those sort of you know, Eastern values and blah blah blah. It's so much, but there does seem to be like a lot of respect and the hierarchy of people as they go up the ranks. And then there's also a lot of talk of how each of them would have their own stunt teams, you know, like the Sammo's team and Jackie Chan's team, and so that big brother thing that is a thing, I guess, in Chinese culture a lot, is then that they are the big brother and they will look after you. You know, like if you're in my team and you get injured, then I pay your medical bills.
I can't stress it enough, because you can, until you watch this documentary, the change in modern filmmaking, when they come towards the end and you start to see them with the wires and the green screen, and they really look down their noses on all like CG and that sort of stuff, and you can feel like not a bitterness, just sort of a nostalgia for the fact that their only options in those days were, there's a building, we want this to look good, jump off it. Like it's literally that simple. And it blew my mind. Like, and obviously it's like anything, it evolves. So once you've done something, it's like, how do you get better? And what's interesting to watch is like, they go from making movies, which are these sort of martial arts films that are very choreographed, very dancey. Bruce Lee comes along, he starts to focus on the martial arts. By the time Jackie Chan's working, and Jackie Chan, you know, they talk about being another pioneer, it goes to like, how can we use the environment? What can we do? Which is what me and you love in Hong Kong cinema, is like,
in all cinema.
Yeah, there's a fight in a bicycle shop, someone's going to get hit with a bike. You know what I mean? And like, it's just beautiful to watch that sort of like, it's like a duality of we're evolving the fight style and the cinema and the action, but we've got to keep doing bigger, better stunts. So there's a stunt where, is it 7 guys jump off a 9-story building?
Yeah, I think it's from the Jackie Chan Sammo Hung movie, Heart of Dragon, which
unbelievable.
I do, and I feel bad saying this, but I don't think I've ever seen.
I don't think I've ever seen it either.
It was one of those ones that is, you know, a 90-minute movie that has 2 incredible fight scenes in it, and then the rest of the movie is like ho-hum, is my vague memory of why I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
But as a completist, I feel like it is from that golden era, so I should probably at least watch the fight scenes.
But again, it's to see them do this is crazy. And this is weird to say, but like, for all its faults and CGI and wires and modern filmmaking, in a weird way, you get to see more. Like, 7 guys jump off this 9-story building. To the background,
7-story, right?
Sorry, I'm going to keep adding a story.
Okay. There's this 20-story building and 100 guys jump off it.
The tallest building in the world.
They're on the Burj Khalifa.
But without exaggerating, they are doing this where they have to jump and time it with an explosion. One of them is stood.
Oh yeah, there's also a real explosion happening behind them.
One of them stood on a nail 10 minutes beforehand. So all this stuff going on. But at the end of it, because like they're concealing the landing pad, which is boxes and mattresses, the classic Hollywood stunt thing, you do get a bit of a like, oh, in terms of like, this is incredible. But now in Hollywood, they'd CGI a whole like impact. So it's really weird to see like how much more impressive the stunt teams are and how much bigger and more dangerous these stunts are, but how much modern filmmaking has sort of changed the language of cinema to such a degree where you are not aware how impressive that is, because essentially it's a fixed, locked camera shot and you don't see the bottom of that building. And it's a weird thing to like see, like, this is the most dangerous stunt they've ever done. Whereas Police Story, some of the stunts in that, which are just as dangerous, but by comparison tamer, look so much bigger. And then by comparison, modern filmmaking, where they're chasing a camera down an alley, like a camera's following the thing, the sort of pulls the sort of octane out of it, doesn't it? Like those Police Story stunts, behind the scenes on them, I'm seen so many times because, like you say, they used to be on the end of Police Story, like where I always think about the one where they jump down the middle of the mall through all the lights.
Yeah, where Jackie just slides down a metal pole with his bare hands.
And there's electricity.
Through a whole load of lights, then smashes through like a wooden hut at the bottom. Yeah. He burnt all his hands up sliding down there, and it's absolutely insane. And you it's that classic, I think if you've ever watched a documentary about stunts, like it will be in it, because you see him like stood at the top, just kind of going like, fuck, and then jumping.
Yeah.
With that. Yeah. Well, we'll just see what happens.
It's weird, isn't it? But I mean, there's that one with the clock as well.
Yeah, from Project A, where he lands on his head, and then they continue the shot, and he has to stand up and just do a bit of acting to finish the scene off.
That's when they freeze frame on the, and now you can see where I've completely landed on my head. It's just like, how are you walking still? I just don't, like, they're made out of rubber.
If I'd learned anything this week, or I've been harshly reminded of anything this week, being up a Swiss mountain, is that I went snowboarding a couple of days ago, and I'm not pushing myself, I'm not trying to get hurt, but I took a couple of minor spills, and even that, I was like, okay, yeah, my back aches a little bit still today. So can you imagine, like, even just like rolling down a flight of stairs, like stunts 101, I would be in the hospital for weeks.
We could talk about this documentary for ages, but it always comes back to the
we must.
Yeah, we actually must. Literally what we
That's literally the point of the podcast. Yeah. Let's continue.
I think what's interesting about this is there's obviously a real nostalgia in Hong Kong for Hong Kong action films to return. And I think that's why they don't dwell on like the injury and the death. I think they want to remind people that for so long they were the best in the world. Like there's that story about Jackie Chan going to Hollywood, and they only really understand sort of boxing and sort of brawling in the sort of Hollywood style, and suddenly he's bringing all this freshness to it. You forget how much they pioneered. Like so many modern films owe so much to this sort of 40 years, and more specifically a very focused 10 years, that I think, that was the hardest watch about it. I can watch people land on their head all day. I don't like it, but
that's what YouTube's for.
Yeah, part of me does. But when you see sort of like, their industry in decline, that really hurts. And like, it's interesting to see, like, they talk about their backgrounds being from slums and these opera schools and stuff, and now they're properly training people up.
Yeah, that was really nice. Like the kind of like how they're like, we want to give something back, and there's and they refer to the talent gap, right?
Yeah.
So there's been a 20-year period where I guess maybe there's not people coming out of opera schools. No one wants to be a stunt man, or we should say stunt person. But there is a woman in this who is training, and they literally refer to her as a stunt man. So I think like stunt man is more of a title than, like a gendered term anymore.
Yeah, but you say that about it's nice, but it's also like it's one guy working 3 jobs because there's just no work for it. And you can feel like they talk about how like cinema moved north, and it's really interesting to see that, Golden Harvest and all those sort of big powerhouses of this era sort of shut down around the same time, which is the early 2000s, which interestingly is when films like Crouching Tiger appear, and Hero, and all those House of Flying Daggers, which for me, as someone who's a fan of martial arts films, that felt like the next evolution in the genre as someone who's watching. I remember watching Crouching Tiger for the first time, after coming away from, being a big Jackie Chan fan and all a fan of those 90s films. And it just felt like so different. And that was like I said, what they lacked in that. That's all wire work and that's choreography. And it's going back to dance and sort of romanticism in its fighting, whereas they've come from realism and sort of Jackie Chan's such a comedic actor. He's like Buster Keaton. Like he's so like aware of what his body's doing even when it's not fighting.
And I think Western audiences are more had been at least more acclimatized to, if they knew Asian action cinema, then the modern side of it, like Jackie Chan's modern stuff. But of course, like there's this legacy of like that wuxia genre of this sort of fantastical period swordplay and stuff, but it never, I guess,
not
on
never
that level crossed the ocean, but B, also I think it was directed and captured at I don't mean this in a detrimental way, but like at a Hollywood level, by which I mean it had a much bigger budget to work with, so that they could make it look incredible, and it didn't have that kind of like scrappiness, and I mean that in like a complimentary way, but the scrappiness that Hong Kong cinema would often have. And even you look at the sort of Once Upon a Time in China movies, or that, like all the Wong Fei-hung movies, which were incredible, and they cover those in this documentary as well, like the ladder fights from Once Upon a Time in China. But yeah, I think it introduced it to an international audience that hadn't seen it, and presented it in such a beautiful way that it almost transcended martial arts genre cinema.
I think that's the difference. Is it's certainly like any art. It's nothing new, but specifically watching it from sort of a Western vantage point of what's being imported, exported. It's interesting it comes at that time. It's the rise of digital filmmaking. It's the rise of digital cinema. It's the rise of DVDs. So a lot of international stuff is coming over instead of being curated for Western audiences. But yeah, there's certain films that sort of, they change everything. Like Bruce Lee's first one, what was it? Big Boss?
Yes.
They talk about it in this, about how they expect it to be a flop because the style was so different. It's hard, and they talk about you have to follow the trend, otherwise your film flops. I think that's what's interesting, is once something becomes so good and so known, it starts to eat itself at the tail end. It becomes a parody of itself, It's exactly what you look at Arnie's action films when we talk about that turn. They start to become a parody of his early films. Like it's
Your Luggage.
Yeah, exactly. The same is with any genre, and certainly of like, Hong Kong cinema, when you do see that decline, which is really sad. It's because, they've done it so well for so long that something else comes along and just moves it for slightly, which is interesting.
How do you reinvent it after so long? And also, I think, we've touched on it before, but the Hong Kong handover in 99, definitely, politically things shifted.
Economically,
like the money started going different places. Yeah, which is really sad. And I sort of watched this documentary, and there's so many like shots of Hong Kong, and it's such a weird thing. Like, I've never been to Hong Kong, but I've seen Hong Kong in so many movies that like, and then there's the bit of the Bruce Lee statue, and there's like Kowloon Bay and all that stuff. And I'm just like, I have to go to Hong Kong. Like, I just want to see those streets. I just want to like feel what it's like to be there. And there's a part of me that like has a weird connection to it, just having grown up sort of immersed in that like small island. It's mad.
It's for that specific genre of cinema and that industry. It's exactly how I feel about LA or New York. If I went to New York now, of course I was going to go and look at the Ghostbusters house and stuff. It is that
100%. The first time I went there, I was like, oh my god, New York from the movies.
Yeah, it's interesting because that ties into a nostalgia with an era. Which is interesting to see this documentary emerge now alongside things like all the films we've been talking about on trailers or what we've watched, where there seems to be a certain nostalgia for this. Like, look at Shang-Chi. Like, Shang-Chi was so influenced by, specifically certain Jackie Chan films, like Police Story being a massive one. There's an interesting thing about that generation gap. You're usually working around 20 years, give or take, from something to see it again. I think we've just hit in that stride. So it will be interesting to see if there is a resurgence in certainly, Hong Kong action stunt teams and stuff like that, because that's definitely now transmuting over to Hollywood. It's definitely transmuting internationally into other films. And specifically because the people who are now working in those industries, when they were kids, they were watching these films that me and you are talking about now, that we love, that this whole documentary is about, and they want to bring a modern spin onto that. So there's probably going to be a 5 to 10 year like flurry of these things where they're popular again, which is going to be really interesting seeing. You just hope that like that does revitalize certain industries. Like China's not going to struggle like they talk about when the industry moved north. That industry is thriving. It has been for years. Like the level they're making films on is something else.
I mean they've got the money, and sort of marginally tangentially, but the highest grossing Chinese movie of, I want to say last year, could have been the year before, the Battle for Lake Changjin, I think it's called. I've probably mangled where the battle takes place, but that's getting a release in the UK next month, I think. So I imagine we should probably touch upon that, since it was one of the biggest movies, and I think it counts as an action movie. It's a war movie, but we'll see.
We'll see.
My point is, like, the Chinese film industry in its kind of insular way, is doing fine.
But that's the thing, nothing's insular now. Like, we are completely moving towards global thing where a good film will, find an audience elsewhere, and people are really hungry for that, which is, again, something we grew up relying on. What's on Channel 4 late at night?
And God bless Channel 4. They did show Jackie Chan films widescreen and subtitled.
Yeah, Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee completely got into them because of someone
hashtag
them.
Save Channel 4.
Yeah.
That feels very pertinent right now.
But again, like Channel 4 was the introduction to, for me, things like this and things like anime and all the sort of things that I think form my personality, which now Netflix's entire industry seems to be based on. Which again is these things that certain things are done so well, they grow outside of probably their origins. Everyone dreams of stuff being big, but the fact that for certainly 10 years, more specifically about 40 years, Hong Kong had this entire industry that no one else was doing anything.
Yeah.
And it was such a small group of different groups. Like, all these people are talking. Everyone knew everyone did it. And it became, it's permeated internationally to the point where now you're seeing it sort of ripples in Marvel and stuff like that, which is now the biggest.
Or like, Yuen Wu-ping doing the Matrix movies.
Exactly.
And like the crossover, the amount of times that they've tried to have Jackie, Sammo, Donnie make it in America to some degree. Remember Martial Law, that TV show that Sammo was in?
Yeah.
Oh, it was nearly so good. The action was good, and then the rest of it was just like a bad network TV show. Koosh.
What year was that? Like, if that was made now, if we had, the Netflix era, again, it might have been a different thing. Netflix would have made it for a season, cancelled it instantly.
Of course.
Yeah,
That's the, that is, what is it called? The thing with Eco in that we just watched.
Oh,
the
version
of. It's that series. It's that. It's like, well, we've got this guy. What can we make him do?
Yeah.
But I think, anyone who just grew up watching or, is still growing up and like still loving the golden era of Hong Kong movies is going to love this documentary. And it just charts that era from the people who were doing it. I love it when they show clips of someone falling off a building and then it's like, that's that guy, that's him. And then he's like, here I am now, I'm 60.
I can't walk properly. None of them can walk properly now.
They're all sat down in the interviews. That is true.
When you see them walk, you could just see them like going, oh, God.
Oh, I know. So many clicking noises when they get up.
But again, what I love about this is there's definitely a sad undertow under this, which I think, comes with age, comes with change and stuff like that. But they are so proud and so happy about the work they've done, and they know how dangerous it is, and they know that they did. But there's something about these guys in this documentary where you realize they can't and won't do anything else. Like, even if they have to take another job for a while, this is like, this is what they are, and they are completely. And I love at the end when you see the schools and stuff, how they're referred to as masters, that's what they are. They're masters of their craft. These are, without doubt, the best stunt teams that have probably ever existed. Like, they're doing this without a net, without wires, and they're just like the whole.
And they've
attitude
inspired
is,
generations, you know, us as like viewers, but then there's the generations of, you know, the new martial clubs and these like the guys who worked on Shang-Chi, and they're all like, obviously we were inspired by all these stunt crews from the 70s through 90s, like groundbreaking. The difference is now there's just safety.
Yeah.
Like it's nice to see even that the guys who are still working in the industry as stunt coordinators, action directors are now a bit more like safety first. Let's let's keep everyone alive and walking for the entire
quite
shoot.
Rightly have learned the hard way. But like you say, like just to bring it back to the beginning, when you look at the trailer for Hero Panty 2, look how iconic this genre is. Anything that has any sort of martial arts, and like we've talked about it a lot and stuff, like now it's like MMA and stuff like that. The fact is it always stems from the same sort of group of things. So when you look at Hero Panty 2 trailer, there is that Shaolin shot of them fighting Shaolin monks.
Yes.
They do exactly what Kill Bill did and other films. They recreate that film, that scene from, I can't remember which, it might be Way of the Dragon. It might be a big boss, but basically, where Bruce Lee fights a dojo and they all circle him because they're all trying to get an advantage on him. That shot has been recreated and recreated and recreated so many times. It's because this point in history, this specific geographical point, has, just dominated and changed the landscape of filmmaking. And it's like looking at the golden era of Hollywood now. It's a system that probably can't and won't exist again. But the fact that it did is the reason we get all the films we get today, because they worked out the genres, they figured out how it works, they just went in and did it to such a degree that now they can pass it on.
And their legacy is Tiger Shroff flipping around doing 60 flips. You know, it's just like, I bet if you ask Tiger Shroff what movies he watched growing up, he says Jackie Chan movies, Sammo Hung movies, Donnie Yen movies. Yeah. Like there's the lineage is so direct, and it's incredible to see that. And like you say, these guys, their legacy remains, and they started it and they've created something incredible.
I think that is a beautiful place to end. I think you've summarized that very, very nicely.
I agree, Matthew. Well, ordinarily, we would have an action replay moment of one of our favourite action scenes in a movie. So I wonder how we can approach this for the documentary, Matthew.
100% for me. Can't remember which stunt guy it is, but he's talking about how his thing was flipping. That was his specialty. He does flips, and he stands up because he's at a table. And he's like, he talks about how he would flip onto this table to break it. And there's a moment in his eyes where he thinks, should I do it? You can see it. You can see the moment where he's like, I could demonstrate this. And then he goes, but I think I'm in like my 70s, 80s, and I probably shouldn't. And I love that. I love that. I love seeing the guys now, like certainly people like Sammo and stuff like that, still getting in there and choreographing. Like all those things they learn, it might be harder now, it might be more painful now, but their instincts are, it's like breathing. It's still there. I love that. I love seeing.
Yeah, I think I will echo that. I don't think I have one standout action replay moment, but there's some nice like clips of Sammo behind the scenes choreographing that you rarely get to see, and just like, you know, they're all still so hands-on. And you know, if like one of these 25-year-old super flexible athlete actors was like, I'm not quite sure how to do that, you know, Sammo would still do the backflip. You know that they would be like, just do it like this. Incredible. I can't recommend it enough. Really loved it.
If this specific, there's a good chance you're here because you love this sort of film. This is just beautiful. It's like the most loving documentary for something that is great. Yeah.
Track it down. Look it up.
Oh, boys! I'm back!
My action movie trivia cards are sadly in Amsterdam, Matthew. So
Oh,
you
okay.
have got a week off. You've got a bye week, as they
Nice.
might say in,
Nice.
in American sports.
Nice.
So all that remains is to say thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed the podcast, rate and review it on Spotify or Apple. If you want to find Matthew Heighton, he is on Twitter at
Matt Titan. There's very few of us, so you'll
At Matt
find me.
Heighton.
You'll find me.
Easy, posting innumerable pieces of content that I am constantly in awe of. I will just occasionally tweet something about films or a thought I've had on Twitter at Simon Fielder. Same with Instagram. And I think that about wraps it up for episode 10, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm gonna go see if I can jump out of this window.
All that remains is for me to say, later, Gator.
Later, Gator. It's only 2 stories, Simon. I think I can make it.
What are you going to land on?
Concrete.
Obviously, yeah,
Obviously.
nothing.
Don't worry.
Grass.
I'll
Forget
put-
it, mate.
I'll
Not
put-
interested.
I'll put one box there and miss it.